Inside.
All right, call this meeting to order at 6:30. Can I get a motion for the approval of the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Motion, second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, any additions or changes to the agenda? Okay, then let's roll the consent items. Can I get a motion to approve consent items?
I'll motion to approve them.
Angie, can I get a second?
I'll second. Maybe
Rod, Rod, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, I'm guessing we no issues with any of those. I just want to approve them, so. Communications from the public, there is really no public. There's Bob, and we'll get to him. Doing a video preppers report, so.
All right. So circulation, I said everything we do is still trending back towards pre-pandemic levels, which is good. November was our closest. Since we didn't meet in December, we're doing 2 months worth of stuff here. But in November, our circulation was only down 3% compared to pre-pandemic levels. But now in December, we were down 7%, but we've been running about 15. So we've been there. The number of people through the door is still less. So like I said, we keep saying the number of people through the door is still down closer to 30%, but our circulation is almost back to where it was. Passports, gangbusters. We did 34 in November, 41 of them in December. I think we had 20 some scheduled about a week and a half ago. It was just crazy in here. So the city has contracted with Stratus for cleaning services. They terminated their agreement with our previous cleaning company back in October, September. We've always been cleaned twice a week, and it's going to be once a week. And I have some concerns with that here, but I'm willing to give it a try. I've told them that come summer, there's no way we can get by with once a week cleaning. We're just way too busy. I'm a little concerned just with all the stuff that'll get tracked in here this winter. But it's a testament to, I suppose, the good deal that we were getting from the last cleaning company.
Was that just, we just have our own, we did our own, right?
No, we had Cleaning Connection.
But did the city have that too, or did
Yes.
Oh, got it.
Yes.
Okay.
They did. They had picked them up about a year ago, maybe.
Okay.
So the Aftermouse interactive play table that was purchased by the Friends arrived on Monday of last week. So kids and adults are having a good time with that.
You played it.
So the holiday giving tree was very successful. We filled the back of my car. So lots of things went to the nursing home. As far as the adventure passes, the Friends of the Library decided not to purchase the Breton Skating Pass this year. They reduced it. It had been whatever the skating park or the skating plaza was open. They could use an adventure pass, and they reduced it to only Monday through Thursdays from 5 to 7, and only in January and February. And the Friends are kind of like the usage won't support. So we do have a kind of our first real big program coming up here in February. So the Friends of the Library are sponsoring a Build-A-Bear type workshop. So it's through a company called Noah's Ark. All of the kits will arrive here in the next couple of weeks, and it comes with all the stuffing and the bags that they get to take them home in. Birth certificates, wishing stars, they get to stuff their bears. We're doing it at the Methodist Church, so we have more room. And then we're encouraging people just to make a donation to the comic cupboard as part of it. So we're going to do it in groups. Registration will open, I think, on the 18th of this month. And they purchased 100 bears. And so there are 20 slots available every half hour, so you can sign up for it. If you sign up at 9:30, you'll come in, you'll go through the comic cupboard, you'll go to a story time, and then you'll move into the bear workshop. And while you're in bear workshop, the next group comes in, and hopefully we're out of there by 1 o'clock.
So 2.5 hours.
Yep, pushing through. So lots of the church is lining up, their confirmation kids, things like that. We're getting lots of volunteers, so every family will kind of be assigned a buddy to kind of navigate them through. But we're excited about that one. And then we have our big budget workshop with the city on January 14th, Friday afternoon. That's about it.
Any questions, concerns, or comments on the report or the staff? All right, then we can have our liaison report.
Well, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. I'll kind of give a little preface. I really believe in the liaisons that we have. I want you guys to be informed and to feel informed, so I'll try to proactively bring up anything that is library relevant. You guys can ask me any questions if there's other things just city related that you're interested in that's kind of unique dynamic compared to parks and P&Z, obviously different areas of focus, but I think, I don't know, try to watch a lot of the meetings that I don't go to, and I'll be honest, I got behind and haven't seen one for a while, so not for sure how Ron did it all the time, but I think the big relevant things, as Jamie mentioned, going into budget season, it's due every year in March, and so we did some strategic planning in, it was in November or early December, and then the normal annual budgeting process starts, as Jamie mentioned, next Friday. We have had a lot of facility discussions, and not directly on the horizon, but obviously relevant. I don't think it's a secret to, you don't have to be on the board of the library to know that this is one of our maxed out buildings, as unfortunately a lot are. So trying to figure out how best to tackle that, and a lot of ideas, not a lot of concrete plans, but I think it's good to be talking about that stuff. Other than that, new mayor as of yesterday. Excited for Steve to get rolling. It's he's done a good job, I think, of being respectful to Jason, the previous mayor, and been going to meetings, but hasn't done much because it wasn't elected in November, but not official till first of the year. So other than that, the two council seats remain the same. I don't know, anything else that you guys are curious about? Shut up and get on to business.
Any questions, Ron? Okay, we'll move on then. No board education this month. So that takes us to agenda items. Our first agenda item is review the Tier 1 standards section, library governance.
So, all right, we're back to number one. Like I said, these just have to be reviewed annually as part of our accreditation. So, library governance, the tiers that we are required, we have to have a legally appointed and constituted library board that governs the operation of the library. The library board or other authority, as defined by ordinance, hires the director and delegates the management of the library to the director and has legal authority over the library's budget and over all gifts, bequests, and donations. The library board adopts an annual budget. The library is funded by its city on a permanent basis. And the library board has written bylaws that outline its operational procedures. These bylaws are reviewed at least every 3 years, and we just have them on an annual rotation. Library board meets no fewer than 10 times a year, and the library board adopts 4 required written policies: circulation, collection, development, personnel, and internet use, that must be reviewed at least every 3 years. We do those annually. And then the other policies, so they must have changed that one in this new version, because those had to be done annually, and then the others had to be redone every 3 years. All members of the Library Board of Trustees participate in a variety of board development training each year. The recommended average is 3 to 5 hours per year per trustee. And so we pretty much just work that into our regular meetings. You guys know that, how that all works. And the library receives permanent and equitable funding for services to rural residents from the county, which we do. And that's it. So we're in compliance with all of those.
Any questions or concerns? All right, so that was just a review, no actions needed, correct?
Correct.
So then the next is to review the collection development policy.
So, and I had sent that out, and I did not have any recommended changes to that. The one thing you might notice, so the collection development policy, then it just goes through how we select our library materials. And with that, we can have the reconsideration policy separate, but that kind of works right in with that. We do have enough people now, we have people appointed to our reconsideration committee should we have a challenge. So we just hope we don't.
Right.
But we've got people willing to serve if we do, so.
Okay. Any questions on that? Or comments, concerns? Okay. So now number 3 is to approve resolution 2021-06L, hiring of a youth services librarian.
And that's something I should have corrected. I don't know if it's, but it would be 2022-01.
Okay.
It is correct on the resolution.
Okay, so I did fix it on that, I just didn't get it fixed on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want
So,
to talk about
yeah.
this?
So we have offered the position to, her name is Alexa Manassian. She is relocating here from Seattle, the Seattle area, and will be starting on January 24th. So we had 8 applicants for the position. Of those 8, I interviewed 4 that had at least some of the qualifications we were looking for. I will say that most did not have all of the qualifications. She does have, she's just recently completed her master's in library science. She has not had a full-time job in library services before. She's done lots of volunteer work and she's had part-time positions, but this will be her first full-time library position. She's very excited to get here and get started. So we're looking forward to getting her. Like I said, we'll be 4 months without, because Pam left the beginning of October. So by the time Alexa gets here, we'll have been down a full-time staff member for 4 months. So we're ready to have her here.
Can I get a motion to approve resolution 2022-01L?
I'll motion to approve resolution 2022-01L, correct?
Yes, this one. Okay, Angie with motion, can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Not quite that way
Oh,
tonight.
I'm about to throw this.
Any more discussion or questions? Okay, can I get, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed. So that has passed. Number 4, approve library closings for 2022.
Those are pretty much just our standard, when we close, the only one that may not, like, the Four Seasons Festival on that Friday, if there's going to be a parade, we'll probably close at noon so that we have time to kind of prepare something for the parade. But if there's not, then we'll stay open. That's what we did this year. We were just closed the day of the festival because,
Okay.
yeah, everything else is pretty standard.
Can I get a motion to approve the library closings for 2022?
I'll move to approve. Like,
Thanks, Corey. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Brian, second. Any questions, concerns, comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Approved or opposed? Okay, motion passed. So library projects for 2022 have passed. And then number 5 is review the fiscal year 23 budget request.
So I think I linked that in your agenda. So I've had my initial meeting with Chelsea and Jenny at City Hall. We met December 16th, I think it was, where I had kind of put together the first draft of our budget. The salary information and insurance, all of that came from Chelsea. So she's the one who's figuring out, kind of what increases look like, things like that. One of the things that we do have budgeted in there is increasing the wage for that library page position to a starting wage of $10 an hour, where we're at 9. So we'll make some progress there. That was one thing I did ask her to do. After that, we kept our budget pretty much in check from what we have had in the past. There are some things that were minimal increases. The big project that I'm looking at this next year in the library is I really feel a need to get the library rekeyed. We have doors that we don't have keys for. We have no idea how many keys are circulating for the library. We know that the current keys, like if I need a key, I just go over to Ace Hardware and they make me a key, and anybody who takes a key pretty much can get a copy at this point, I think.
It doesn't have do not duplicate on it or
It
anything?
does.
Okay.
So we've gotten some goods. What we'd like to do is get electronic access for the front doors and the meetings, so like the exterior doors. So even if you're running it for a meeting room, you're going to get a key card. And probably the security company is recommended for the server room, so that we know who's gone in and out of that room. The others will probably just stick with standard keys, obviously, for the other doors in the building. And so,
Why would you just do it all?
because it's about $4,000 a door for electronic access on all of them, and do you need a key card to get into a supply closet or things like that? So, because that was my initial, and one quoted me, he's like, and then the other one, he's like, you realize, that's not really feasible. I'm like, or he was like, you would be better off just to do this.
Sure.
So that is one of those, that's kind of my, part. We've taken care of the carpet, all these that we've painted. The keys are now my next big push here. Mowing is being rebid, so it's kind of a best guess. Mowing is always a hard one. If it rains a lot, they mow a lot. If it doesn't rain, they don't mow. So we have been all over the place on mowing costs. The big significant increase was in technology services with Rich Taylor not doing our technology anymore. We're doing it through the city's our e-tech, and that's added cost. That's really the biggest increases that you're going to see in there. So everything, I tried to stay pretty true to what we feel like we've got a pretty good budget and didn't need a lot of wiggle room in it, so.
Sure. Any questions or anything for David? All right, so then that takes us to number 6, which is how to proceed with accreditation process due. Mrs. Berger.
It was just a discussion, so yeah, we're right back into our accreditation year. Feels like we just did it. So libraries have to reaccredit with the state every 3 years. And there's the 8 different, so we did standard 1 tonight. There's 8 standards and all these tiers in there that we have to meet accreditation-wise. One of the things is we'll have to do another part of the ABA study. So that's something I'll just be working on here over the course of the next year. the big thing is kind of starting to think about how we want to gauge community input. 3 years ago, we did the survey. We got the responses from the community, and we dissected all of that information and kind of put it together. I will say, so with the strategic plan is good for 3 to 5 years, and we just did it, so it's 3. I think it just needs a tweak, probably, and the reality is there's a lot of things on that strategic plan. We've worked on things on there, but there were things in there that just haven't happened because we filed that in February of 2020, and COVID hit, and so things like starting to visit 4 new other libraries a year to figure out, those things just haven't happened yet. Even some of the things like with programming and things haven't, because we're just, when we do have in-person programming, we still don't have the numbers that we've had in the past.
So I know that the building projects are a ways away, but like when's the city gonna start talking to the community about things like that? And that might be something that we would potentially jump on then as far as, do you have any idea, like?
So, I don't, short answer, but soon. So we had a couple closed sessions at the end of the year on some opportunities, and through those discussions, that didn't directly go anywhere, but I think it reprioritized some things that were in the facility needs assessment, and I think that was a good eye-opening experience for us as council to say, this 5-year window plan really should be 2 to 3, but unfortunately there's a few of those, and so, and I'm talking about everything from city hall to police and fire to the 80 acres park land. So this is a rambling answer because I ask me tomorrow and I give you my priority tonight, it'll be different tomorrow, because obviously, emergency services are paramount in not all senses, but there are things that are, if emergency services don't operate like they should, you will know, that has a little bit more of an effect than things at City Hall, than things at the park, at the library, so, but I don't think there's any question that from the council's perspective, and I try not to speak for anybody other than myself, that this facility is smaller right now than we should be and could be using. So the good thing is, I think we as a city own a good footprint to expand, because expansion, buying land and building things is one thing. If you can do that now I don't know that for sure. Facility needs assessment sort of challenged that to some degree, but I think that puts us in a spot. With city government, there's 1,000 ways to do all that, right? And quite honestly, our bond issue history hasn't been great here. Those have been recreation oriented. I think emergency services, library, city hall, a combination of those things would have a different feel, but don't know that either, right? So what we can do in a timeline that doesn't require a bond issue is different than what we can do in a timeline that has an approved bond is different. So it's a long-winded answer that provided no specific
Well, I guess what I'm
answer
saying is
whatsoever,
like, as the city looks to maybe gain feedback from the population or the constituents of the city that maybe
Yeah.
would allow us to also gather
Yeah.
feedback for our purposes as well, potentially. Just don't forget that we're.
No, and the structure being a little bit different than it is with the library doesn't change anything in respect that there's a need there, right? And again, I love to get feedback. I don't think you're needing to convince anybody that
Sure.
there's a need here, just so you guys know. I mean, does that mean 2020 whatever? I don't know, but and I mean, it's no secret that the land that we do own, and specifically reference, but probably not too difficult to, that I think would be a better long-term solution, an
Sure.
expandable solution.
Sure.
The location is really exciting for me, honestly. Something that I had thought about until the facility need assessment came out, and assuming that you guys have seen that, or if you want a better, more updated version, I can get that too. But I think the first half of this year is going to be formative in us developing our plan, and then the next step obviously is getting some reaction to that, of which you guys and anybody in town for that matter are key to. It's the dumbest thing ever, or yeah, let's do it and go. So again, not a specific answer to anything that you asked, but I wish I had one. I know.
No, you're fine.
Like I said, I think council is a pretty well up to speed, you know. Chelsea's definitely, you know, she's got some ideas. And I know that I think I am even maybe the last one this week. I have my one-on-one with the new mayor on Friday, because he's really been wanting to get out. I mean, he specifically asked me on the phone today when he was setting up the meeting, he goes, I need to know specifically what this library, he goes, rating, he goes, E, whatever, and then he goes, and then the square footage requirement that is attached to that. So he's looking at that as well. You know, he's like, that's something I want to talk about and make sure that I understand.
Sure.
So the one thing that I would add that I should have probably led with is when we were going through all this before, Chelsea had outlined there are certain things you can pretty easily get grants for, and grants at not the 2% variety, the significant variety, and the library is one of those. So to me, and that's I think a key selling point, even let's say worst case scenario, of the things that we need to do in order our timeline, this is third and fourth, right? Again, don't quote me on that, just for illustrations, I'm saying, even if it's lower, I think the fact that a decent chunk can be gained through grants makes it higher in the sense that I think a comprehensive, not all comprehensive, but something that hits needs for everybody is a better path forward in the event we have to go to a bond vote for this, because that's something that I don't think happened before. It was a very specific need. It was a need, but it was a very specific audience that was going to hear from that. So if, again, in worst case scenario, there's things that are above it, the fact that a library can be, X%, grant funded makes it a part of whatever, hope the first ish phase of this stuff comes through, which again, who knows what actual year that starts and finishes and all that, but.
Thank you.
So, like I said, this was just kind of out there just as we need to start thinking about how we're going to proceed with all of this. I feel like, with the exception of Rod, everybody was here the last time around. So I don't necessarily feel like we need to bring in Mary Ann from the state or anything like that, like we did last time when we were all kind of like, okay, what do we do? But like I said, it'll go by fast. My goal would be, again, kind of like we did last time, would be to have this done by December, so that we have plenty of time to get it submitted in time for that February deadline.
Speaking of, we probably need to start signing up for our board education too.
So, yep. So I think we've pretty much made it through the trustees handbook, which was kind of our focus this last year. I don't know that I'll have to double check, but I think we've made it through most of those chapters. So,
Sorry.
He's not Corey Sarn, I'm just saying, I'm not sure, but I could be wrong.
Seems like that every time.
This
It probably
usage
is.
comes up.
It probably is.
No.
one of the, an option would be January, my calendar up, 17th is what I'm thinking of, it's the Iowa Library Online Conference, and it starts at like 10 in the morning and it goes until that evening. But they usually do some sort of a board session that evening. It can't be the 17th, that's Martin Luther King Day, maybe it's the 20th.
It's a Thursday.
Yeah, I'm looking here to see, it is the 20th. So, there's the option that we could do that board session, we could stream it here in the library and everybody get an hour and a half of it done. right there.
Is that in the evening or?
It would be, that one would be an evening one. Usually the board stuff is done in the evening. The other option would be, we could, or you could all just sign up for it individually and do it at home, watch it at home if you wanted. And we could go through, I could get another list of all of the webinars that they have done in the last year and kind of divvy those up again. And what we've done in the past then is, like, Lisa will watch the 1.5-hour webinar, and she gets an 1.5 hours of her board education in, and then she comes back in the next month and spends 15 minutes sharing it with the rest of us. We count out the 15 minutes of board education. She taxes, we could just kind of
Yeah.
share it all that way rather than actually trying to spend 5 hours a year sitting here doing board education.
Could that be something that someone listens to that or watches that webinar and reports on it next month?
We could potentially do that too. So I will admit, I have it on my calendar. I have registered for the stuff that day, but I have not actually looked at what the sessions are.
If it's in the evening, I don't mind watching it and taking some notes on it.
Yeah, that's not a good day for me.
Sure.
So right now it's open.
Right. Any other, so, do you wanna do something for February, or do you want one of, we'll just, something we'll get, we'll know there.
Yes.
I like the idea of one of us watching it though, bringing it back.
I have it on my, when we get signed up.
I'll make a point to look at that agenda, hopefully tomorrow. The theme this year is make room for yes, overcome challenges, and take advantage of new opportunities. Which in my opinion is better than our conference theme of other duties as assigned. So,
Anything else that needs to be discussed? Otherwise, it looks like our next meeting is Monday, February 7th, and I would take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All right,